Awesome. And welcome to another episode of How to Make It in Toronto. I'm super excited today as we have John Long, CEO of Thynk AI, a leader in helping businesses unlock the real-world power of artificial intelligence. With a career that bridges entrepreneurship and tech, John is known for making complex ideas simple, helping companies streamline operations, boost efficiency, and drive growth. He's also a sought-after speaker, mentor, and proud father of four. So in this episode, we'd like to welcome Mr. John Long.
Hey, thank you. Great to be with you, Carl. Great to be with your listeners. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. And so my first question is, how do you define success? And has that definition changed over the years?
Oh, gosh, great question. And yes, I think it has changed over the years, I would say. I think a few years ago, I used to probably think of success as just like achieving a certain thing, right? Like setting out to do X and doing X. And usually that was being measured against other people, right? Like someone did this and I did that. So I was successful because I did better than they did. Now I think success is being better than my past self, right? Improving myself a little bit each day, doing what I intend to do, what I set out to do, not because it's better than or faster than or different than someone else, but because it's better than my past self. And so I would say that's success, improving yourself each day.
I love that. I definitely feel the same way. It's as long as you're moving one step forward each day, you're definitely progressing, and that is definitely success. And so to start, could you give us a bit of your background and how you've gotten to being the CEO of Thynk AI?
Yeah, so kind of a unique background. Right out of college, 20 plus years ago, I started my own business. I was investing in real estate, fix and flips, did a number of different things in the real estate world. When the market kind of crashed in 2008, I started a heating and air conditioning company. So very entrepreneurial early in my career. I had some friends that were in the technology space back then. And even through the recession, I just saw them just kind of doing great, right? They were buying boats and second homes and all these things. I was like, my goodness, what are you doing? And one of my buddies was like, you've got to get into the technology industry. It's so great. And so I started applying to some places. I sold my heating and air conditioning business to my employees. And I thought, perfect time. I'm gonna transition into technology. And I could not get a technology company to even like give me the time because I just was from outside the industry, right? They're like, this guy, real estate guy, HVAC, and now suddenly he thinks he knows technology, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I networked into a buddy of mine, an old mentor of mine, who was the CEO of a small technology company. And he was like, I'll give you a chance. I wanted to get into sales. I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. I love being in front of people. He says, I'll give you a chance, but you have to start in tech support and work your way up. I'll give you your chance. So I went from owning my own businesses, doing really well in that regard, to working for $12 an hour as a tech support agent. And that was awesome. It was humbling. But it was fantastic. And it was the break that I needed to get into tech. I'm a pretty quick learner. And so within 3 months, I had moved from tech support into training and then into sales. So I moved pretty quickly. And within a couple of months of being in sales, I was the top sales rep. And kind of the rest was history. But moved through a few different technology companies and met a product guy who I really hit it off with. And we traveled all over the country as we were developing product. I was selling it, he was developing it. And we on our business trips would talk about someday we need to start our own business. Someday we need to do our own thing. And so a couple of years ago, we started down that road. We were going to start our own business. And it was a technology related business, not AI, but it was technology in the physical security space. And as we were starting to build that out, we said, AI seems to be doing some neat things. I had worked with an AI company previously in my career, but it was early days. It was machine learning. And I said, I think we can get AI to do some of our pre-sales work so it can set up appointments and stuff for us. Let's see if we can find a tool that does that.
Mhm.
So we searched and searched and searched, trying to find a tool that could essentially act as like a sales development representative or a business development representative, right? An SDR, BDR.
Yeah.
And we found tools that could do pieces of it, but never a tool that could do all of it. And so we finally kind of gave up on the idea that there was something that existed out there. And we said, well, let's build it ourselves. We found these pieces. Let's see if we can put all these things together and build our own tool. So we built our own software to help with our pre-sales in this other business. And once we built it and started using it, we realized, oh my gosh, this tool we just built is actually a better opportunity for us than what we were doing.
Wow.
And so hard pivot, scrapped what we were doing, went all in on AI. And that's how we ended up with Thynk AI, and what we're doing today is providing these AI agents that help with sales. They do customer support, other things too. But anyway, so that's how I ended up where I'm at.
That's awesome. That's quite the journey, and to go through all these different iterations of finally getting to where you wanted to get to. What would you say is one of the biggest skills, or some skills that helped you certainly through that transition of starting to work in tech, and then the mindset that you had to be able to be resilient to make it into a sales role, and then obviously building a business from there?
I think that you've got to put the work in, right? You're never going to get anywhere unless you put the work in. And I was willing to dig deep quickly, and figure out how to do things. I've been a self-proclaimed technology hacker, not a hacker as in trying to like break into things I'm not supposed to break into, but just like, give me a piece of tech, let me just push buttons and do things with it, and I'll figure out how to use it. And so I've always just been willing to be one that jumps in, and I'll figure out if I can swim after I'm in the pool, right? And so I've been one to just jump in and get started, but put the time in, right? The other thing is I've a lot of technology sales reps know what the product does, and they can speak to what it does, but they don't necessarily understand how it works. And I've always been one that wanted to understand like what's going on underneath the hood. How is it doing what it's doing? How are we getting from point A to point B with this technology? And while I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, I'm not an engineer, I understand that side of the house pretty well, because I've been willing to just kind of dig in and ask questions, be curious, and spend time, on that side of the house. In several of the positions I've been in, I've spent half of my time on the product team side, understanding, giving them feedback, helping them understand what our customers are really needing, and the other half of the time selling. And that's really helped me, I think, to be able to ramp quickly in new areas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely feel the same way working in tech. I'm always asking, what was the purpose of this being built, and like how specifically does it work? Do you find that that's helped you in terms of even better selling the product from having that deep understanding of the technology side? And do you think it helps you, I guess, also be a better leader because you understand the business aspect and the technical aspect?
Yeah, yes to all of the above. So from a sales perspective, yes, understanding the product allows me to be the expert in the room, right? And people love to buy from people that they trust. And if you can't set yourself up as the expert, as someone who knows what they're talking about, people aren't going to trust you. They can see through the fake facade, right? And so I think that's a big first piece, is know what you're selling. Know what you're offering to people, understand how it works, and understand why the customer uses it as well, right? Listen to the customer, understand the problems that they're hiring that tool to fix. So I think that's super important. But then from a business leadership standpoint, yes, I mean, as the CEO, I oversee everything, right? Not directly, but at some level, I oversee everything. And so you kind of have to be able to go, at least an inch deep and a mile wide, right? There are certain areas that I go much deeper, but I have to have a general understanding of everything. And, then I can put the right people in place to go deep in each area. But I need to have a general understanding of what's happening so that I can make sure that things are working in a cohesive fashion.
Yeah. That's awesome. Super important for you to be able to do that as well. So during your journey, did you go through any unexpected challenges, and how are you able to overcome those, to continue on your path to success?
I think that, yes, lots of unexpected challenges.
Mhm.
I think most challenges are unexpected. Most things that we face are unexpected, because the things that we expect we took care of before we got to the challenge, right? We're like, oh, here's the hill that we knew we were going to climb. Put it into a lower gear and go.
Yeah.
So yes, lots of unexpected challenges. I think there's a couple of things that I would say in that regard. Number one, expect there to be challenges.
Mhm.
Okay. Secondly, when you do have a challenge, rarely is it like the sky is falling, emergency type of challenge. Occasionally, but rarely is it that big of a deal. So you're able to take a step back, take that deep breath and say, okay, this isn't what we expected, but let's put together a thoughtful way of approaching this, as opposed to like scatterbrain, panicking, running at it. So I think that's very important.
Mhm.
The other thing is that, particularly as the CEO, and I had another CEO teach me this lesson, and I think it's super valuable. Every time there's a problem, when that problem gets passed up towards the CEO's office,
Mhm.
each layer adds complexity to the problem, right?
Mhm.
And so, first person that discovers the problem, maybe the problem is a 2 out of 10. But the next person they pass it up to, they're like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure my people are taken care of. So it becomes a 3 out of 10 problem. And then the next layer up, it becomes a 4 out of 10 problem. And by the time it gets to the CEO, it's like, this is a 10 out of 10 problem. We need to respond immediately. And I've learned that rarely are problems as big as they initially seem to be. And, again, taking that step back, being thoughtful about the way that we're going to respond, and that generally makes most problems very surmountable, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's my advice there, I guess, is take a deep first.
Yeah, no, I love that approach to definitely taking a look at the problem, but also understanding that it changes, along the lines that it's coming off of. And you mentioned learning from other CEOs. In your journey, did you have any help in terms of mentors or a network that helped you, continue to achieve success?
Yeah, so one of my favorite sayings is that everyone is your superior in at least one way. And
Mhm.
so I believe that everyone can be a mentor to me. And I try to learn from everyone. But there are certainly those that have traveled down a very similar path as leaders of businesses. And so I've, participated in mastermind groups, certainly, networking with other leaders and things like that. And, you do face different problems at each level of business. And it is nice when you can go and speak to someone who's at that same level of business and say, hey, here's problems I'm dealing with. And they go, oh yeah, we've dealt with that too. And here's how we dealt with it. And collaborate, help each other that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. And in your journey, you've had so many different paths of being an entrepreneur, obviously starting your own business, but also working in different industries. What do you think is probably, the biggest skill you need to have as an entrepreneur if you're going to take that first leap in getting started and building a business that can help you be successful?
Biggest skill, is that what you're wanting to know?
Yeah, biggest skill or mindset, or a tool that a person would need to have personally to be able to take that helped you.
I think entrepreneurs inherently have to believe in themselves, right? You're betting on yourself, and you're betting oftentimes, everything, right? All of the chips on me. And so you have to have a firm belief in yourself, and that takes a lot of mental strength as well. Believe me, there are, regularly days where I wake up and it's like, man, I'm scared about what I'm doing. Like, this is scary stuff, but you move forward anyway, right? You feel that fear and you do it anyway. But what it boils down to is protecting what's between your 2 ears, right? As soon as you lose that mental edge, as soon as you stop believing in yourself, it's going to crumble. And so you have to protect what's going into your head. You have to protect your thought processes. You have to really focus on believing in yourself, believing in what you're doing, believing in your people that you're working with and your team, and then helping others to believe in themselves on your team, because it is easy for people to get disillusioned or to get scared or to get afraid of what they're seeing right in front of them at the moment. And so you kind of have to be willing to take a little bit of a longer term view on things and say, hey, yeah, what we're dealing with right now is tough, it's hard, it's scary, but look at where we're going. Right? Look at the journey ahead of us. Look at this opportunity that we have, and help to continue to sell that vision over and over again, first to yourself and then to your team and then to your customers. So I think that continually guarding your mental state is such an important skill.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that answer. That's a really great answer, to be able to make sure you're protecting your mindset as you're going through anything, right? So let's jump into AI, because I know obviously you're an AI focused company, and something that you've talked about is there's a lot of fear around AI right now. Is it going to take our jobs away? How is it going to work? When you're going into conversations with your clients or anyone who's generally interested in AI, what kind of perspective do you give those people that maybe have a little fear about AI, and how it can possibly help along with change our lives in a positive way?
Yeah, so first of all, we tend to fear those things that we don't understand. Right? As a child, you're scared of the dark, scared of what's underneath your bed. Why? Because you don't really know what's down there. Right? And I think that our parents did a great job of teaching us how to overcome fear. Turn the light on and look. Right? Shine a light down there. See what's underneath your bed. No, see, no monsters down there. And I think that's true with AI as well. It's new-ish, I should say. AI has been around for like 75 years, so it's not really new, but it's certainly having a moment right now where it feels new for a lot of people. And there's a lot of new, quick moving advancements coming out. And so it's not familiar is maybe the better way to say it. And so a lot of people are scared of it because they just don't understand it. And some of it has to do with just the fact that we've used AI to capture such a big swath of technology right now. Everything has AI in it now. Well, what is AI? Well, it's different from this program to that program. It's different. There are different types of AI. There's machine learning. There's generative. There's agentic. There's a lot of unknowns. And so I think the best way for people to learn about AI is to start to dabble with it. And the curve is very similar for people. And this is what we see with our customers. Generally, it starts with a leader in the business, often the business owner or executive, trying a little bit of like ChatGPT or a similar LLM program. And usually they try it for something that is like kind of goofy or silly, like tell me a dad joke. Right? and they go, hey, that was actually pretty funny. It did a pretty good job. And then they start to try it with things that are a little bit more serious, maybe not business related, but a little bit more serious. Like, help me understand my kid's homework. Right? Like, I don't know, they're in 10th grade math, and I lost that a long time ago. How do we do this? Right? We start to ask it a little bit more serious questions, and it does a good job. And then we go, man, maybe I actually could use this for work. And we start to use AI in our work environment, but it's usually where we kind of are like popping out using AI and pulling the answers back in. It's not like streamlined within our normal processes. Once that starts though, once that domino falls and they're like, I'm going to try this a little bit for work, the rest of the dominoes tend to fall fairly quickly. And what happens is very soon they realize they start to think differently. That's the reason for the name of our company, Thynk AI, with a Y, right? So it's a little bit different, right? So they start to think differently, and they start to look at their problems and challenges and go, I wonder if AI could help me with this. They start to use AI for this and for that, for this and for that. And they're kind of grabbing different pieces of it. And then they start to say, how do we pull this in so it is part of the process? So we're not having to pop out, do something and pull it back in. How do we make it part of the process? And so that curve can take days, it can take weeks, it can take months, depending on how quickly people are running through that. But I've seen people where meeting number one with them, they're like almost hiding under the table, like, oh, AI, scary, right?
Yeah.
And then within months, they're like, hey, I wrote a book with AI. Look at this.
Yeah.
Like, came a long way fast. That's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you've got to shine a light on it, right? If you
Yeah.
think there's a monster under the bed, turn the lights on and look.
Yeah.
If you think AI is a monster, turn the lights on and look at it, and you'll quickly see not nearly as scary as you think. It'll do way more than you initially think it can do, and it'll make your life better. It'll do a lot of the busy work that people hate doing, and suddenly you'll start to enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I see um, with how you've definitely explained it is people being a little bit afraid or unsure of what to do with it. But I think once you jump in and really get to know it and get to know how it can help you, it can definitely have you focused on probably more bigger ideas while it does the administrative type of work and task type of work behind you. So definitely is an add-on and a plus to help you become your best self even, you know? And so I wanted to ask, so with Thynk AI, what problem are you trying to solve for customers or help customers with?
So we offer communication agents for businesses. So these are agents that can make and receive phone calls, send and receive texts, send and receive emails, can hold meetings, they can schedule meetings, they can disseminate information, they can answer questions, So it's a communications agent. They're used heavily in the sales side of the business, but we have companies that are using them for HR, customer support, even internal, like an employee HR specialist, where you can, reach out to the AI agent and ask whatever questions you have about the business. What are our holidays, whatever. So any sort of communication is really where we're, focused and helping customers. And I don't remember the second half of your question. I apologize, but that's what we're doing.
Okay, no, that's perfect. And I was going to say is, well, with Thynk AI, what would make it different or unique from other AI agents or systems that are currently out there?
Yeah, there's so many AI tools out there, and like I mentioned earlier, we label everything with AI, right?
Yeah.
And so there are other tools out there that do similar things. We have some unique wrinkles in what we do that make it special. Our AI agents are omni-channeled, meaning information that the agent gains on a customer from a text message can then later be used in an email communication and later be used on a phone call. And so it really acts like a person. It remembers, it understands, and it can share things like a person. And so it does a lot of the kind of the grunt work, the busy work that people don't like to do. And so it helps employees focus on doing the part of their job that they actually enjoy, right? The part that they get passionate about and enjoyment from. And we take that kind of the hard, heavy lifting grudge work out of their job. And so what happens is it basically kind of gives your employees this like Iron Man suit where suddenly they're focused on the things that they're most passionate about, that they enjoy the most, that they, are having the most fun doing. And they're able to do that at a much higher level, right? They perform way up here instead of kind of a mediocre level here because they've got to do some of the yucky stuff that they don't really like. And sometimes they get to do the fun stuff. And so they kind of have this average. We elevate that employee sentiment just through the roof. And we help them do far more of what they enjoy doing in far less time. And so the outputs per employee skyrocket.
That's awesome. And any team in the business can use it? Like, I know you mentioned sales, but would it be like sales, marketing, or just anyone in business?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm sure that there are, specialized cases like your engineers probably aren't going to use it. We're not writing code or, anything like that. But certainly any sort of communication. If information needs to be shared effectively, whether it's between company and employees and outside vendors, customers, etc., those communication channels, we can help make those really, really smooth and automate a lot of that repetitive types of communication that takes place.
Yeah, that's awesome. And where can our audience and people in general find more information about Thynk AI? If they'd like to try it out, what channels can they find
Yeah, so best thing to do is just visit our website, thynk.ai. It's THYNK.ai, so thynk.ai. And on our website, there's a button you can click to say, I want to try out your AI agent. Put your contact information in. The agent will call you, text you, email you, and kind of have a little bit of a role play with you. We can also produce like a customized demo of an agent working for your business. You can put your information in, and it'll actually look at your website and then act as an agent for you, so you can kind of see what it would feel like. But hit our website. You're welcome to hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there, and happy to reach out and visit with people in any way that we can help.
Awesome, that's perfect. And then, so one of my last questions would be, in your career, even working as an entrepreneur in general, what sort of resources do you think have helped you be successful? Are you someone that uses, your calendar a lot, or tasks, or is there a project management tool, or whatever? Are you a diary guy? What resources have helped you?
Well, I'll tell you what popped in my head first, and I think I was answering a slightly different question, but I love books. I don't read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of books. Definitely have a very healthy Audible library, because I think you're constantly needing to educate yourself, and there's amazing thought leaders out there that share great things. But in terms of tools that I use a lot, obviously, calendar, we use the Google Suite. So we've got tasks and calendar and email and the works there. I'm a little bit of a technology hacker, and so I sometimes use tools in ways that they maybe weren't totally intended. But we use Google Slides a ton. That's a tool that we love. It's like our word processor on steroids, because you can do so much with it. So those are some of our favorite tools. But then from an AI perspective, I'm a ChatGPT user. I love ChatGPT. There's a lot of great ones out there: Gemini, Claude, Grok. There's a number of other LLM similar types of tools, but I've been on ChatGPT for a long time. It knows me really well. It understands me, understands my business, understands my family. So I can use it to kind of cover all areas of my life. But I use that tool every single day.
Awesome. And any books that stand out that you would share?
Oh, yes. So a classic, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Absolutely one of the best, like the godfather of business thought and business leadership books. I also really like Ben Hardy, Dr. Ben Hardy. He's written 10X is easier than 2X. He's written Be Your Best Self. He's written a number of them. Gap in the Gain. I love his writing. I love his style, and his messages are fantastic. One of the first books that I read, in fact, this is what we're at graduation season right now with people graduating from high school. And one of the gifts that I was given as a senior in high school when I graduated was the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I give that now as a graduation gift to all of our friends, neighbors, family. I give out a dozen or more copies every graduation. So that's awesome. I think that's a fantastic book on like how to be a good human. And so that's one of my top suggestions.
Perfect. I'm definitely gonna make sure I share those out as well at the end here. And so, if you had a message or any advice to give an upcoming entrepreneur about to get started on their journey, or even someone who's making the transition into tech, because tech is continuously growing and the amount of opportunity in AI alone is massive, what advice would you give someone who's jumping in?
So I would say this. One of my favorite quotes in Washington, D.C., if you walk around, you'll see on the buildings, it says, "No small plans," right? Don't plan for business to grow slowly. Don't plan for business to grow little by little. When you're planning out your business, try to figure out, how do I get from 0 to 100 as quickly as possible? And by doing that, it will force you to think differently about how you run your business. It will force you to say no to a lot of things that you would have normally said yes to if you were trying to just grow little bit by little bit. But if you're trying to go big and go big fast, you have to say yes to the right things and no to a whole lot of things. And I think that as entrepreneurs, you've got to be willing to say no to a lot more things than you say yes to. Otherwise, you're just going to get spread too thin, get scattered, and not be able to stay focused and accomplish what you're trying to do. So plan to be big and try to grow big as quickly as you can by saying no to the things that would keep you little for a long time.
That's perfect. And my final question is, John, what are you most proud of in your career so far?
Oh, by far my family. Has nothing to do with work, but I try hard to be a good husband, try hard to be a good father. I've got 4 amazing kids and a wonderful wife that I love very much. I work for them. I work to be able to provide for them, to be able to have time to spend with them, to create memories, and to be able to serve them, and then hopefully we as a family will reach out and help serve other people as well, and lift up those whose hands are hanging down. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what your bank account says or what kind of car you drive. It's, have you been a good person? Have you been a good person within your own home? Have you been a good person within your own community and neighborhood? And so it starts at home. And so by far, most proud of my family.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, John, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. It's been a great conversation, and we look forward to hopefully speaking with you again in the future.
Okay, I'd love to do it. Thanks, Carl. Take care.
Thank you.